I want to start by congratulating Mike Pringle on his term as the RCGP President. The Royal College stands for quality and leadership in general practice, and Mike has very much upheld those principles in his time in post. And quality and leadership is what makes you all as general practitioners critical to the success of our National Health Service. Most people's experience of the NHS begins and ends in primary care. In Scotland, we estimate that there are over 24 million patient interactions each year in general practice alone. You make a difference to people's lives every day. So I'm very pleased to welcome your conference back to Scotland. As Scotland's Health Secretary, I appreciate very much this opportunity to celebrate the NHS and in particular the role of general practice, and I do so with great pleasure. That's because GPs are integral and a vital part of our NHS. Patients, the length and breadth of these islands continue to look to their family GP practice to meet the vast majority of their medical needs. As GPs, you care for our communities, but you perform a vital role as gatekeepers to the rest of the NHS family, influencing your decisions and actions a significant proportion of the activity of the whole system. I'm very proud of the work that you as GPs do with a wide knowledge, professionalism, compassion and dedication that you bring to your work. More importantly, patients clearly recognise this too. In Scotland, 87% of patients rated their overall experience of care by the GP surgery as excellent or good. I've seen that work firsthand in communities across Scotland, from deprived urban areas to our most remote and island communities. Delivering an excellent service is something that you strive for every day. But before I paint too rosy a picture, I also want to recognise the challenges that you face and that the RCGP highlights in its campaigning. Put simply, our population is increasing and we are all living longer, which is of course a good thing. And of course it's testament to our National Health Service. It does mean that the way in which those services are delivered, though, have to change with the population. Scotland's Chief Medical Officer reports every year on the condition of Scotland's health. And while that includes some good news, such as the improvements in smoking-related illness, obesity, poor diet and excessive alcohol consumption continue to contribute to major health problems. Our challenge is to evolve our health service to best meet the needs of an older population who often have multiple complex conditions, while ensuring that we drive down health inequalities found in our most deprived communities. We're also pushing for a renewed focus on mental health, reflecting the fact that in Scotland, physical and mental health have parity of status. These are not challenges that exist in isolation. The stark reality is that the welfare of people's health is linked to the welfare safety net provided by the state. As GPs, you'll be all too familiar with the health impact of the UK government's cuts to welfare and tax credits. In your practices, I know that you're seeing the human consequences of frankly inhumane benefit policies. And I know that GPs are equal to the challenges that we face, but that doesn't mean that the UK government should expect you to pick up the pieces from their policy mistakes. In Scotland, as a government, we want to do things differently. That means, unlike my counterpart in England, I won't be seeking to attack NHS staff because, as we face the challenges of increasing demand now and into the future, we will determine the best solutions by learning from the front line. When I talk to our GPs, I hear about increasing demand and a significant rise in the complexity of cases. I also hear about the risk of burnout, with recruitment and retention key concerns. I am listening very carefully to what is being said. There must be change, and that change has to define a clear role for GPs in Scotland's communities, a role which puts the GP at the heart of multidisciplinary care. To deliver this, there needs to be a transformation, developing new models of primary care and new ways of working. The Scottish Government, as many of you will know, are working with GPs on this transformation. We've started to make these significant changes. The steps we've taken are the first steps on a long and steady journey. So now I want to look to the future for our health and social care services in Scotland, a future which has general practice at its core. In September this year, our First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, set out our programme for government. In doing so, she highlighted the early success of the integration of health and social care, which has already been legislated for in Scotland. This radical reform will ensure as much care as possible is provided in community settings. The programme for government outlined the central role of primary care in all of our health and social care services, with a strong message of delivering new models of primary care, building on local innovation. This is at the heart of our strategy. We want to ensure that communities get the services they need, delivered by the appropriate range of health and social care professionals working together more effectively. This commitment to the transformation of primary care comes with a commitment to invest. In Scotland, we spend £12 billion a year on our health service. Of that, a record £770 million is invested in general practice. In addition, we recently announced a further £60 million primary care transformation fund to build on the great examples across the country of providing care for patients at or near home rather than in hospital. This funding will also help to address immediate GP workload and recruitment issues through long-term sustainable change. Specifically, we're discussing with the RCGP about how to best use £2.5 million set aside to enhance GP recruitment and retention in Scotland. This funding may be used to increase the number of medical students choosing to train as GPs and to encourage those wanting to work in rural or deprived areas. We'll continue to support our innovative Enhanced Returners programme, which helps GPs who wish to return to the profession, and we will be increasing the output from medical schools, encouraging and improving training in general practice, and will train more GPs and ensure that more GPs are able to deliver the models of the future. We're also investing £1 million in a programme for local GP leadership and networking developed by the RCGP and NHS Education Scotland. Added to this is our commitment to supply 140 new pharmacists to work in general practice, and our funding ensuring the future of the Scottish School of Primary Care. Over £20 million will be used in testing and delivering new models of care, prototyping elements of our transformation of primary care and the new GP contract. This clear, sustained and increasing investment is an important step forward and is an aim we will continue into the future. But we recognise the need for further investment in primary care. And as we discuss budgets, I can give you my absolute assurance that increased investment in primary care is one of my key priorities for the months and years ahead. Indeed, this is just the start of our intention to transform primary care. There are further milestones coming quickly at us, the first of which is the shape of Scotland's out-of-hours services. Our government knows that pressures of work in the daytime have a significant impact on the availability of GPs to deliver out-of-hours services. And I very much welcome the recent work by the RCGP to highlight the importance of the out-of-hours green light service and the professional role of GPs in out-of-hours. The demographic change that I highlighted earlier drives pressure on the whole of the system, and that's why I commissioned Professor Sir Lewis Ritchie to lead a national review looking specifically at primary care out-of-hours services. The out-of-hours primary care system has been under strain throughout the UK recently, with pressure of work rising and increasing numbers of people seeking help and advice. So the time is right to review the system and to look for recommendations on how best to ensure a more effective and sustainable service for the future. Sir Lewis is leading a wide-ranging review, incorporating many different viewpoints and seeking to get a clear view of the contribution that different professions, organisations and sectors could make. And I'm pleased to say that the RCGP have been a staunch contributor to that review, giving them the support and the right conditions to be able to perform their role effectively. Coming together as professionals is absolutely key to making out-of-hours work. We also need, of course, to stabilise and develop the primary care workforce, and a key importance is the next step in our transformation of primary care, which is a new Scottish GP contract. GP workload is increasing, as is the complexity of healthcare, and where more is being delivered outside hospital settings, resources haven't always followed. In Scotland, we are redesigning integrated primary and social care through co-production, transforming and invigorating the workforce. We're creating new roles and ways of working, and we're supporting communities to innovate so that high-quality services are available where people need them. We want our young people from all walks of life to choose to become general practitioners. They should do this not only because they recognise the breadth of skills and knowledge that the role requires and helps one acquire, but mostly because of the professional satisfaction that the role brings. So we have a role to play in doing that. Scotland's GPs have a vision for the future of general practice, and it's a compelling vision which this government shares. This is a future where care is provided by multidisciplinary professional teams, planned and delivered within the localities that need them. This is a future where GPs are the expert medical generalists, a term made popular by the RCGP. GPs are the doctors making the critical clinical decisions about their patients, but not necessarily always being the first point of contact. We've been working with the BMA Scottish General Practitioners Committee to redesign the GP contract, and we'll have the first version in place by April 2017. I know this may seem far away from the workload pressures that you face every day, but this is a timescale that GP union leaders tell us is realistic to make such a major change, with negotiations on the detail taking place in 2016. So by 2017, we'll have made significant progress to change the way general practitioners operate in Scotland. This will be a new Scottish GP contract. We've already led the rest of the UK by removing the annual churn of contractual change with our stability deal, which guaranteed no substantive change for 3 years. I can say clearly today that we have abolished the annual churn. The new contract will be guaranteed for at least 3 years, and we continue to accelerate this transformational change. A key element of that change will be delivering what you as GPs are calling for through bodies like the Royal College, and that is quality and leadership. We're moving quickly away from the tick boxes and bureaucracy to a system based on the professionalism of GPs working effectively to meet the needs of their local communities. But I can also, delegates, announce today that I've instructed my officials to work with the BMA to dismantle the quality and outcomes framework in preparation for the new contract in 2017. We'll do that by developing a transitional arrangement for quality in 16-17 in Scotland. You know, the QOF has delivered many innovations, but its time is past. Scotland's GPs need a new and different future starting in 2016. I want to move towards a system of values-driven governance that reflects and is sensitive to the different needs of the different communities that you serve, allowing the best use of expertise to be shared across clusters of practices. And that's where I need Scottish GPs in the audience to continue to show the leadership and commitment to quality that are at the heart of what this Royal College stands for. The new Scottish GP will be at the heart of quality and improvement. Our approach will build on innovations already underway that reflect local priorities, for example, in reducing health inequalities that deepen practice in Craigmillar and Govan, or in the GP clusters in Grampian, who are finding new ways to engage with local people. Equipped with this flexibility, care will develop in ways that match the needs of different individuals and communities in cities, towns, villages and rural areas of Scotland. From Cumbernauld to Cape Wrath, the services your community needs should be there for you, locally planned and locally delivered, reflecting the 4 C's of contact, comprehensiveness, community and coordination advocated by the RCGP. For this to be successful, I recognise the central role that general practice has in looking after people with long-term conditions, particularly those with multiple conditions. We know that the RCGP has a strong strategy to move beyond disease-specific approaches to embrace collaborative care and support planning that supports people, carers and communities to self-manage, enabling them to be in the driving seat of their care. So I'm very proud that the Scottish Government, in conjunction with the Health and Social Care Alliance of Scotland, are supporting the development of this approach in several GP practices in Tayside, Glasgow and Lothian as part of Scotland's House of Care Early Adopter Programme. Our Primary Care Development Fund is also supporting adoption in other regions as well as a range of other innovations. So we know that one size doesn't fit all, and that's why we wish to test and seek views on the new models of care, including those which might be delivered by multidisciplinary teams, where professionals collaborate across the boundaries of primary, secondary and social care. And all of this, of course, focused on high quality care and improved health outcomes that will provide a more connected, streamlined working across health and social care and, of course, voluntary support services. It will ensure that professionals are able to support patients facing wider social issues which are having an impact on their health and well-being. And there must be clearer signposting, information and support so people know where to go for the most appropriate treatment or follow-on service. I've today outlined our new agenda for general practice and primary care in Scotland, one where we have a clear vision, where we have a co-produced approach to delivery and where we have already begun the work of investment and innovation. But it doesn't mean that we have all the answers, and that's why we've been working with GPs and others to develop this future. And we'll continue to need your ideas on how to deliver the ambitions that I've outlined today. To gather these ideas from both clinicians and patients, in August I opened a national conversation on a healthier Scotland, which will run until April next year. And that conversation provides an exciting opportunity for everyone in Scotland to have their say in how we improve the health of our population and how our health and social care services need to develop into the future. There is a real appetite for transformational change among the public and among health and social care professionals alike. And I think the time is right to have that conversation and seek those views. Primary care is at the heart of that conversation. We want to talk about accessing services to meet our needs and recognising that those can change over time. Your expertise, experience and views are critical to this conversation. I urge you to get involved. It's this approach to developing the future that is one of our great strengths in Scotland, doing it through collaboration. And we have a unique opportunity to make a generational change and transform our primary care. A collaborative partnership approach stands in stark contrast to the actions of my opposite number in Westminster. So let me come back to Jeremy for a second. I know that the RCGP are very concerned about the proposals to cut trainees' pay in England and the growing confusion and alarm that this is causing trainees. I'm appalled, frankly, at the actions of Jeremy Hunt, whose threats to junior doctors' terms and conditions in England are beyond the pale. But let me give you this assurance. In Scotland, I can give you a cast iron guarantee that we will not be following his plans to cut junior doctors' pay. But let me be clear that this is not just about pay. It's about longer working hours and the impact of patient safety, and that is our primary concern about these proposals, and Jeremy Hunt must think again about them. We need to work to attract more medical trainees into the profession. We need to challenge any voice that talks down your fantastic profession. We need to change the rhetoric. So in conclusion, delegates, the time has come to start talking up general practice, to encourage more doctors to stay within the profession and to ensure that medical students choose a career in general practice, because it is one which deserves to be admired and respected. It's time to start creating some excitement for the future of general practice in Scotland. And you have my commitment that this government will continue to work with Scotland's general practitioners to deliver a model of sustainable general practice that is right for both the profession but also right for the health of the people of Scotland. I hope you have an excellent conference and enjoy your time in Glasgow. Thank you for listening and enjoy yourself. Thank you.